I will hereby call to order this meeting of the Sunderland Selectboard. The time is 6:32 p.m. Our first order of business tonight will be to approve the minutes from the 9:22 and 10:06 meetings. Do I have a motion?
I motion we approve minutes from 9:22 and 10:06.
Seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 2-0. Thank you. All right. We will be also, just should mention this now, having the Finance Committee joining us around 7:15 for joint Finance Committee Select Board business at that point. All right. So first order of new business will be to discuss the South County Senior Center.
I would recommend that we delay that.
We will wait until Dan is back. Yes, that's a good call.
Okay.
All right. So let's move on to reviewing the appointments for assisting TA.
Okay, so this is, I have an upcoming medical issue that I will be dealing with over the next 3 months. I will be having a series of surgeries about every 3 weeks. And because of that, I would like to have the flexibility if I find I'm not keeping up, to bring in Margaret Nardowitz, who was the interim town administrator a year ago when I applied for this position. And Margaret is very familiar with Sunderland. She's maintained a relationship here. She works at our annual town meetings and elections. Well, elections, not the annual town meetings, but she has served the town even after she left, although she's not a resident. So I think it would be a good choice. And I would like to start her, I want to recommend that we pay her the same rate I'm being paid. The hours I'm going to keep to a minimum, so for her to jump in for a week here and then a week there, I think making sure she gets paid fairly for jumping in and out.
Yep, that makes sense.
And we will be asking for money to help cover this at the special town meeting on the 14th of November. We've put out a figure of $5,000. We haven't, it's likely to be far less than that. But you never know, things could change, and we want to be prepared.
Yeah, and we can always return that money to free cash at the end of the year, but don't want to have another special town meeting just to ask for more, so that makes sense.
Right.
So that becomes my question here is, again, because we need to just be
Put it out.
transparent, will 5,000 be enough?
54, let's just look at it.
Or, I think we need to, know.
Solid, how many weeks would that provide?
Right, exactly. Or how many hours of work, whatever,
Okay,
would
so
that
the hours
provide?
of work are,
Just so we have,
Yeah, no, that's smart.
because we, if it's better to ask for 6,000,
we need to know now.
Yeah.
we need to understand that sooner rather than later.
Okay.
Just in my short crunching my head, I'm looking at about 2.5 weeks for 5,000 would be full-time weeks. In that range.
That's not very much.
No, it's not. But, well, you said 2 weeks?
2.5 is what I came up with.
Oh my God, it's 92 and a half hours.
That sounds about right, yeah.
Yeah, that's only,
That's
80
two-
hours is 2 weeks.
Yes.
Well,
So-
we really don't want to spend more than that.
I
But
mean,
you want to be prepared,
We
so,
don't want to spend more than that.
Right,
But
but
we
if
also
you
don't
need
want to be in a
to.
position where we have services the town's not being able to provide.
Right, because,
right,
again,
we don't know.
we don't know, and
We
your,
have, sorry, just to interrupt, we have Deerfield Administrator entering the waiting room. Not sure who.
Okay.
and we just want to make sure we have enough that, your health is, important here, and
Yeah.
Thank
you know,
for
you
sharing.
shouldn't be worrying that, oh, well, you know, we only have 2.5 weeks worth of coverage. I've got to rush back. If you're not capable of rushing back or able to rush back,
Yeah, I'd much rather prepare for worst case scenario and then be happily surprised that we only spend a third of what we asked for or whatever.
correct, because that's just not a lot.
Yeah.
Right, no, it really isn't.
I would be of the mind of go to 10,000 to be honest, because that ends up being a month. It's 4.5 weeks because it's 2.25 is what you came up with. 4.5 weeks is a month, so we would be able to, you know,
Okay,
That would
yeah,
be-
no, that makes sense.
and we can bring up the finance committee later when they come if they would like it. But I think
They're
that.
gonna decide whether to recommend the article and
Yeah.
we'll change the figure.
So let's sort of table that conversation until
Okay.
finance committee, but bring it up with them. Because yeah, the 2.5 weeks is awful fast. Goes by awful fast if we need it, you know.
Yeah,
So all right,
Yeah,
let's.
and, you know, and again, will Margaret say, you know, she only needs, yeah, because Margaret won't, the fill-in person will not have to do every single menial task.
right, and she did ask me, do you want me to do all the big thing, everything, and I said, no, you know, the stuff
Right.
coming in the door unless we're in, you know,
Right.
should be,
So, you know, there might be some things that, you know, can wait or can be, you know, given to other people to do that could extend that, you know, if she's only gonna do 25 hours a week or 30 hours a week.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
because it might be, because with the schedule, it'll be like, it won't include Monday, I'll be available on Mondays and then have surgeries on Tuesdays, and Monday's our biggest day,
Yeah.
so it might be she would pick up the shorter part of the week and maybe the next week if I,
yeah,
and a little bit of the next week.
right, but if
So-
there's 4 surgeries,
We would want to have
That's
a week for
times-
each one of them.
yeah.
You know, so,
So
and that's
that's
what we're
4
kind of
weeks
preparing
right
for,
there.
is preparing
Right,
for a week for each of the
exactly.
surgeries if that was what
Yeah.
you needed.
right, so
Okay,
I think we really need to,
And again, we will present it to town meeting and finance committee that ideally we don't spend even a fraction of that, but that we would prefer not to end up in a lurch where we need it and don't have it.
right, but again, she's looking at 4 surgeries and that's
Oh, yeah.
only 4 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, once we hit the 10,000 mark.
Yep. All right, so we will discuss that further with the finance committee in a minute. Up next is an update on the Bub's appeal with the ABCC.
we received, a letter from the ABCC. They have set a hearing date of December 2nd. And from what I understand, from what I've learned, if the only way that can be removed from the calendar is if Andrew Garlow makes a request to remove the appeal.
Gotcha, okay.
And I have not heard that he has done that at this point. And we'll have to wait and see.
Okay, yep, keep us updated on that.
I have spoken to Michael D'Ortenzio, Town Council. He outlined for me the amount of work potentially it takes to respond. And we are also looking at, want to look at it from all sides.
Mhm.
So I have another call into him to talk about, you know, potential repercussions if we weren't to. We're just finding out all the information.
Yeah, no, in order to make an informed decision, I would
Yes.
want all that for sure. Okay. Great, and at this point, you don't need any action from us, just updates and. you know,
Right, I just want to let you know what is transpiring.
Mhm.
I don't believe, yeah, it would be the lawyer that would respond in this case.
Yep,
It's not the select board, and potentially it might have been me, but I will not be available at that time.
yep.
So, so we do have to rely on town council.
That's why we have town council.
Right.
You know, that's, yeah,
And
Okay.
luckily they're available.
wonderful. Okay. Thanks for the update there. Keep us updated, obviously, and we'll discuss it further in the future when we have more information. Anything on that before we move on?
No.
All right, next up is a review of the town administrator's remote work schedule and the select board's meeting schedule.
And so I was just wondering if, through this period, if we'll need, I wanted to talk to you about maybe not meeting every single week, meeting numerous weeks, especially once we hit the finance committee department head schedule. But, for the next month, if it doesn't look like a lot on an agenda, moving things to the next agenda till we have a fuller agenda. And so that when, if we can not have a meeting here and there, if that's acceptable to the select board, it might be good for my schedule.
So, from my perspective, legal hierarchies aside, I feel like the board works for you in terms of we meet so we can do the work that you need us to do in order to move the town forward. And so, and this is what we said about the extending the summer schedule is if you need us to meet, great, tell us, even if we're not scheduled that meeting, that we will meet because we want to respond to town business timely fashion. But there's no need for us to meet twice in 2 weeks if there's going to be a 15-minute meeting and a 20-minute meeting, or if you don't need to make work just in order to meet, is what I'm kind of getting at. So I'm certainly going to take my lead from you on that respect in terms of if you're telling me we don't need to meet a week because there isn't anything too pressing, great.
Okay.
All of us can, take our time back and be happy about that. But the caveat being that I'm going to have to trust that you're going to be honest with us about when you do need us and not. And as long as we can do that, which I feel we can, then I don't have any problem with that either.
I don't have any problem with it because, again, we have had multiple meetings where we were here for less than 20 minutes, covered 1 or 2 items, and they were not critical to be dealt with at that particular moment. So,
and that's really the key part there is making sure that as long as there isn't something that we're going to miss a deadline or if there is an urgent necessity to do so, we can meet. We can also we've in the past if we need to meet for one specific item, we can meet remotely or we can figure that out if we need to. But yeah, I think we should be able to accommodate that. Really, it comes down to budget season and getting to that. And so as we move further into the fall winter, it might get harder to do that every week. But I think in the beginning parts of all this, which should be better.
Okay, great.
And then the other
concept I just wanted to run by the board was my working remotely for a stretch. I'm in a situation where that's been recommended to me, and so I want to start off at least making sure I have that flexibility to work remotely during potentially what could be a 3-month stretch.
So I think that one thing that I would like to consider to be important would be making sure there's somebody in the building, and so working with the assistants and with Margaret to make sure that if there was going to be some overlap between the two of you's time out of office, that be when we are using some of our hours for Margaret. And given that we only have 4 weeks, if we go with $10,000, I would see you working part-time remote and Margaret working part-time as a way to be able to bridge that gap. Does that make sense to you? If we can get away with 15 hours of Margaret's time in a given week because you're doing 25 hours remote, that might work for us in a way that lets us stretch that money a little bit further.
Yep.
And also, not even to stretch it further, but potentially be able to be good stewards of that money and return a chunk of it to the town because we didn't need to go to the full 4 weeks of her.
right.
So the need to keep the building open during open hours, I also would like to throw out there potentially, in some ways, also utilizing the person we brought in for Maureen Nichols, Dana Romer, potentially if it seems like Margaret's on vacation for a holiday or something, she's not available. if, at least during that open period,
Well-
if we're really limited in numbers at town hall for whatever
So
reason.
is there any time during the week that you are typically the only person here?
Thursday afternoons after 4 for sure, and sometimes earlier when there's.
But what are our
That's-
posted hours for the town hall being open?
Not posted hours. Currently we have coverage during posted hours. My concern is I want to make sure we maintain it when other people's schedule, when
Right.
other people are
But
out.
if right now, there are no posted hours, that you're the only person here,
Right, there are none.
all right,
So we would
so,
have at least, would Heather or Wendy or somebody else would be in the
Right.
building for all those hours.
Right.
So that was my main concern, was just making
Right.
sure that we have something physically here.
right, during those
for
posted
reasons.
hours, so,
And also not that we shift all of your responsibility off to the already other hardworking other people in the building,
Right, exactly.
Make sure we don't overwhelm Heather or Wendy
Yeah.
or whoever.
That's why I was
Yeah.
thinking if we have the flexibility to bring, which we already have, because when Maureen's out, she can come in anyway, so that's already covered.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like there is a tapestry of small pieces that we will put together to make this fall work. And I'm sure we will figure it out. Any other questions or comments on that one?
no, I just think, again, just letting, everyone know, that this is gonna, that there's gonna be this period of, a little bit of upset here, and, just, if letting people know ahead of time if you're gonna be needing vacation, or taking vacation time, things like that. I know things come up where you can't,
Mm-hmm.
you don't know ahead of time, but, holidays coming, all that starts getting,
Yeah.
Yep.
using a lot of, using vacation time and stuff, and as long as everybody's aware and, understands that the goal is to have somebody here to keep the building open during the posted hours, and, letting people know ahead of time, I think we should have no problems, maintaining that.
Great.
Yeah, we've got a great crew.
Yeah,
Yep. Alrighty, that is all of our new business except for the South County EMS update, but I'm hoping the boots on the ground I hear outside our door is Dan. So we're gonna wait a minute. Hey, perfect timing. Alright, we were just to our last item of new business, which is the South County Senior Center update. And just in time for you to join us to talk about that.
I don't have a lot to say, I mean,
Well, I think we're repeating what we said, but summarizing and moving it forward.
okay, so we know that, we're not doing the fall stuff, right?
Right, we've been pulled out of special town meetings for the senior center project
Right,
until annual town meeting.
until the annual town meeting, and, basically, we're just taking a little more time to get all the ducks in a row and, get ready for it, and, work with 112 just to make sure we've got everything in place.
And-
Sorry, I'm going to
Okay.
Oh, we shouldn't put all.
You're running. So, and we would be ostensibly on schedule for normal town meeting this spring.
That's, I think we're gonna have to push them a little bit hard. Hi, Josh. He's in. So, I'm sorry, I lost where we were.
annual town.
So for
Annual
annual,
town meeting, we will be the first to have annual town meeting as the last Friday in April. The others
Yeah.
don't start meeting until May and June. So I think we're gonna have to push them to make sure everybody's ready at the same time. But I'm sure that Jennifer, the director, will be very anxious to keep moving, so,
Yes.
but we'll have to get on track, because it's gonna be here before we know it.
right,
It's really only 3 months of work.
So, and this is sort of a big picture question, but we are very early in terms of other towns in the area. And I know that there have been years in the past, at least in the last couple of years that I've been here, where trying to get all of our ducks in a row for our budget stuff for town meeting, we had a year where we almost had to push off town meeting because we didn't have free cash certified yet. That was a whole other thing, but just,
You
is
didn't
there,
have free cash and,
this was before Aponte, our old accountants didn't have free cash certified until, I think it was April something. It was bad.
oh,
Yeah, no, it was a problem, but I guess my question is there an advantage to us having it so early? And if not, is there a reason why we wouldn't potentially bring that to the town this year, if pushing it back to a later time? Especially because we have a bunch of services like South County EMS and South County Senior Center that are in conjunction with towns that are clustered later in the spring. And so just
not to mention the regional school.
and it's also a burden on Darius and Franklin Tech and whatever you have to come to our meetings so early and have everything ready so early for us. And then we also push Darius to get us budget information even earlier because we have to have our stuff ready. So I'm just asking. I don't know if there's even really a driving mechanism behind changing that or not, but it would be,
I think it's select board discretion. I mean, it's your review of past town meetings and how the date's impacting your ability to hold a meeting.
yeah.
The first year I was on, we didn't have the meeting until May.
So we have moved it, okay.
We have moved it before, but that was,
Unusual.
yeah, it was due to other reasons. So I think part of it is, when is the election for
Oh, boy.
the select board member,
It's earlier, isn't it?
correct. So that's what happened to me. I got elected to the select board a month before town meeting. So I had
Oh, my God.
no time to prepare for it.
Mhm.
Usually that election and town meeting
Yeah,
coincide
usually
with
it's like
each
Friday
other.
is the town meeting and then Tuesday is the election is often the way
Right.
it goes, yeah.
So imagine coming in April,
That's true.
Yeah.
the beginning of
And it's not
April, and
your
having,
budget.
what?
And you
It's not
haven't
even your budget,
prepped the
yeah.
budget, so you don't know the
Correct.
budget.
So
That's part of the reason.
I'm sure that is a big chunk of that reason, because
Yeah.
I sat there
That's
just
hard.
like,
Yeah. No, that's
Yeah.
a very compelling argument for keeping it the way it is. Anyway, and we don't have to.
Well, it's just you
decide
would have to
anytime soon.
change both.
Yeah,
If you were
yeah,
to
you
change
move
it.
them both, yeah,
You'd
yeah.
have to change them both, if
Yeah.
you would change it. I have a Shutesbury story. The year before COVID, Shutesbury changed their annual town meeting date to the last Saturday in April. Well, 6 years later, after never having it on the last Saturday in April, because COVID meant we ended up 2 June town meetings, 2 May town meetings, and then but we never actually did that date. And now they've changed the date again. But you do what you can, but I think in those COVID times, we really had to put things off trying to figure out what was going on.
yeah, I mean, we did them outside in the backyard here.
Yeah, that's hard. But it could be, there were comments made at a meeting today that by next year, the budgets are gonna be very, very difficult.
Yeah, we're seeing that, yeah.
The financial picture hasn't started sliding off a cliff yet, but there's precursors
Oh, yeah. No, I
all
know.
over the place. So it might be pushing it out, having the foresight this year to think about changing it next year till the 3rd week of May or something, see when all the other towns hold theirs, and then the select board review and see if you want to change the date.
Yeah,
So
I
you're
mean,
putting a
it
warrant on.
just has to be, they have to match up,
Yes.
because
Yeah.
it was horrible. And does Josh know that finance isn't coming till 7:15?
I think I told, Josh, did I text you that?
No, but I got the message now, thank you.
All right, I just, in case you wanted to go off camera and grab a coffee or whatever, you still got 15 minutes, so. closer to 20. Just wanted to let you know,
Right.
because I feel bad that you're
I'll
sitting
check
there
back in.
listening to us.
I'll check back in with you, thank you.
All
Okay.
right.
Thank you, sorry about that. So maybe what we do is we put it on, give ourselves a chance to think about it a little bit. And then we put it on a future, select board meeting agenda in 2 weeks, let's say, to discuss again. And at that point, we'll have had a chance to let it sort of marinate a little more. I just know that
And I can find out the dates of the other towns.
that'd be great. 'Cause we also want to try to avoid having it on like the same date as Deerfield, for example, or whatever, so we don't, we don't have a huge.
Shutesbury used to have it the same day as Leverett every year for a long time. And the superintendent would have to run back. One time, I think all 3 towns had it the same date.
Yeah.
Right, and we just have to figure out the term, right? Like, I'm sure there's wording in there that, about your term as select board member, as assessor, as whatever, that,
Right, because if
Can we
elections,
move that?
we'll be moving
One
the,
of the moving forward, yeah. That's-
In Shutesbury, the terms start July 1st.
Oh.
They don't start right after the election.
So you'd have the election going and then the meeting.
yeah,
would
but
go
ours start,
ours start right away. You get elected on a Tuesday or whatever, you get signed in, or you get
Right,
sworn in,
you're
and
at-
then
you're at the
you're on
next
camera on
Monday.
Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good question, so maybe we need to,
right, because if the term, you know what I mean? If,
yeah.
again, I am not sure, because I can't remember, when you get sworn in, if it states a term of 3 years, or if it states a term until,
Next person gets sworn in, yeah.
you know what I mean? I just don't know, so,
I can ask
Wendy will.
Wendy.
yes, one
Yeah.
people definitely
Yeah, if you can check with Wendy on
And,
that.
again, as long as it's all coordinated, and whether we have to do it incrementally, a couple weeks here, a couple
Yeah.
weeks there.
Yeah, if there's, let's say, anything less than a month of extension is okay, then we do it 3 weeks for the next couple of years until we're where we want to be or whatever.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay, so yeah, if you can find out from Wendy, what the deal there is.
On the
Um,
terms and
I just know that, this is my 4th year here, and every year's budget, we've been scrambling to get in under the line.
Yeah.
And then other towns got 2 months left still, so.
Well, I have to say, when we, having it done, and when everybody else didn't, it really gave me time to focus on other things.
Which is fair.
But-
Which is fair.
But it is important, because sometimes that information you get, in February or March is really critical when they close the budgets.
I
Well, they
know
don't close them, but
I know
sometimes
when-
a house.
With the 2 different things in the 3 towns, is there some benefit to having things closer? I'm just trying to think a lot if it makes a big difference.
I'm thinking using this as a use case,
Yeah.
right? Like, because we're when we are, the whole project has to be ready to move forward at that
Yeah.
point.
Yeah,
If we were closer to the rest of
It
them,
might
the whole
be.
project would get another month
Yeah.
or
Right,
another 6
we're
weeks,
asking
something
for
like that.
people to have their budget information in by December 16th,
yeah,
so we could start our process.
yep.
The other towns haven't even picked a date yet to have their budget stuff in, so.
Okay.
When you do a shared, South County EMS, South County Senior Center,
You want to kind of all go together, yeah.
well, they've gotta have that information in now,
Yeah,
but it doesn't matter for Deerfield or Whately until a couple months later.
okay.
So they can absorb adjustments to the budgets, but they can't adjust their budgets because they had to be set for us.
Right.
Yeah. So just
Okay.
grouping them together
Yeah.
makes sense for us,
Okay.
But the big thing is getting that date out if it does change. Because Sunderland has always had the same day
Yeah.
for a long, long time. So we really want to figure it out a couple months ahead, because people make vacation plans and,
Yeah,
Well, it's also something where, ideally, we would have it moved for this year so we can give this project more time. If we can't, if we find out that we need to have more notice or we need to incrementally do it or something like that, we could also, make it clear at this town meeting to the people who show up, who are likely going to be a very large overlap with the people who are going to show up to the next town meeting, that we would be able to give that heads up, next year is not going to be the same time, and at least the 100 and whatever people there at that time would be able to get that information. And then as we get closer, we can put ads in the 100 Gazette and that kind of thing. But first, let's find out if we can move it based on the term limits, or the term lengths for.
Okay, or what impact they would have on
Yeah.
it, and how it might take it 2 years to change it, I don't know.
Yes, and also if we put it on the agenda for 2 weeks, that also gives people in the general population, as well as other boards and committees, a chance to reach out to be like, hey, I have an opinion on that, before we start getting really deep into the weeds on that.
Yeah.
So, okay. Great, so we'll have that on a future meeting to talk about. Alrighty. Any other South County Senior Center stuff that you want to go over?
I don't think so.
Okay.
We'll have more to say, obviously, at the next meeting.
Alrighty, so we still got about 10 minutes before our finance committee folk join us. Any reason we can't do like select board updates, old business, and town administrator update kind of stuff now?
We can move ahead to those for sure.
Perfect. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna go, is there any old business? I don't see anything on the agenda, but any old business that we need to deal with? Perfect. Select board updates. Crystal, do you have anything for us this week?
Well, Josh will be speaking soon, so I don't have anything as of right now.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
Okay. I also don't have anything. Man, it did not buy us as much time as I was hoping it would.
I had something, I just had to, something new I just done.
Yeah. Well, while we're waiting for you to be ready for that, did you have some public comment for us today, sir?
I'm the new member of the Board of Finance. Just
Oh.
here.
Oh, okay.
Well, welcome. You're here a little early, but that's okay.
Are you Aaron Cooper?
I am.
Welcome.
Welcome, Aaron.
We will be talking with you much more in about 10 minutes. Perfect.
Let's see, I've had a phone call from Altai, who are our new pot dealer in town.
Yep.
They are preparing for a grand opening. They've just done their soft opening. And they just left a message. I have to connect with them, and I think they want to invite the select board to their grand opening, so I'll get you that.
Yeah, please let me know about that. I drove by the other day and saw that they had the now open sign. It's like, oh, okay. Good to know.
Yeah, it's been,
Sorry.
yeah, I think it's been a couple weeks, hasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
they've been,
I saw the phone call the morning after our last meeting. And it was,
yeah.
Yeah. Let us
So
know
when
about
they
that.
say a grand opening, is there any significance to that? Are they having,
I don't know if they're gonna invite people to come.
okay,
So-
no, I just, because again, I think it's wonderful that a new business wants to do a grand opening, and I think it's a wonderful thing for them to do. It's just, I think we all know that's a tricky stretch of road at times. That's not a gigantic parking lot. I didn't know what they were planning on,
Right,
like an
right.
outdoor tent and a band and
Yeah, no.
that type of grand
Yeah.
opening, or,
Well, if they were, I would hope that they would come to us for a one-day dinner license.
Yeah.
But,
but you know what I mean? That's, when you hear grand opening, you don't know
yeah.
what the plan is for that, and if there's,
These are-
Did they,
Here's agenda.
and feel free to say no, that you didn't say so, but did they mention when they were planning on doing the grand opening?
They just referred to the grand opening, and I haven't gotten through to
Okay.
them to call them back.
That's what I assumed, but you
Yeah.
just, if you can let us know sooner
Oh,
or
yes,
later.
I will
that
let you
that'd
guys
be
know.
good.
I'll text you. an
Okay,
email.
great. Wonderful. Anything else from you?
Something. It's not clicking, sorry.
It'll come. So I think we're just going to take the next 9-ish or so minutes to just kind of relax and
pause.
pause.
Wait for the finance committee to show up.
Yes,
Very good.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and this is, I'd like you to introduce you to Aaron Kupek. This is Val Borges.
We've talked on the phone.
Yeah.
We were eyeballing each other thinking we were probably each other, but we weren't sure.
I had to break the ice for him.
Aaron, you get to sit up here.
Okay. All right, is there a sign seat?
Not the order, but the table. This is the
Okay.
finance committee table.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
And we're 5 now, so we might have to really use the table. I don't know
Yeah, you're
if
going
everybody's
around
gonna be here, but we need 3 for quorum, so.
Here.
I don't know if we'll have 5. I think we'll have 4, is my guess, which is good. 3 will do. But we'll take it if we can get 4. Sorry, we can meet a little earlier. I made a commitment for 5 weeks of dance classes.
Wow.
But this was my second one, so I only have 3 more weeks and then I won't schedule for, I won't take any ballet classes during the 5-week season.
Anymore. Well, that sounds fun.
Dancing around the numbers instead.
Exactly. Not as good for my body, but good for the brain. Although dancing is so hard for the brain, like it's like to make your body move in different directions and like arm up and then legs go the opposite way of the arm. I'm like, what are you doing?
I tried out for the Amherst Community Theater's production of The Wizard of Oz. I haven't tried out for anything in a very, very long time, and did not really pay close attention to they were going to ask me to dance. And do a little number with a whole bunch of little steps and now go to the left and twirl around this. It did not go well. It did not go well. No. No.
It was fun, come on.
It was actually a lot of fun. I just kept being like, why am I facing backwards and everyone else is facing forward?
Well, that could have been on purpose. You could have been trying to get their attention.
A scarecrow, clumsy. It was.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For the Frontier musical, where the choreographer is offering dance classes leading up to the auditions, so that people don't feel like freaked out by the dancing part.
That's nice.
So, if you want to try out for the Frontier musical, there would be preparation for you. I think they wouldn't let you, but
I think everybody involved dodged a bullet by me not getting into the play.
I don't know. I think dance classes might be the trick.
here you go, there's your agenda.
They could be fun.
I remember your Sam took some.
I have danced before. I'm not so much with the hand-eye foot coordination so much, Yeah.
I'm better with dance versus when there's balls involved. So tennis is worse than dancing. Because at least if I miss, there's on a ball, but I also missed. It's like I'm a little off. Who cares? Having fun.
That's fair.
Tennis, you kind of don't get the ball over the net if you mess it up.
And then there's consequences and your partner's mad at you. Yeah.
With dancing, if you get it wrong, you don't lose. Although, I'm sorry, did you get a part?
I did not, no.
I'm sorry then.
Oh, no, it was, I was primarily trying out because my wife wanted to try out and I wanted to support her. And she got a part, which was
Oh,
lovely.
great.
So your work worked.
You were successful.
Oh, it without being too much information, it worked out perfectly because she wanted to do it. I got to support her.
We are on television, so watch out what you're saying.
Oh, I know. I'm trying to be as diplomatic as possible at it. But no, what's really lovely is that they ask the people who do get parts to also volunteer hours to do set design stuff and help with the sets and costumes and lighting, that kind of thing. That's my area. So I'm going to help with the set design stuff and stay behind things. We are almost there. Did you know who else is coming tonight? You had 2 more people?
As far as I know, Allie and Dylan are both coming. I put those names together into Alan, but it's Dylan and Allie.
Okay.
So I think they're both coming. There's Dylan.
Look, thank you for joining us.
Move down.
Dylan, Aaron, Dylan.
Hi, Aaron. Nice to meet you. Good to meet you.
I have an electronic version.
I brought one
Dylan, do you need a-
downstairs, upstairs, so I should be
Okay.
good.
Okay. Mine seems to have disappeared. Okay, so you guys need some. Dan, did I give you a copy of that?
Yes, that would. Yeah, Deerfield, one of those. If a Deerfield one.
No? See you 2 minutes early.
I'm sorry, do you have?
I'm Hallie.
Hi, I'm
Allie, Iron.
Nice to meet you. And this is Ian.
I do have one of those.
A future
already, so
member.
go ahead and-
Oh,
He just wanted to come check.
make sure you don't
See what he was signing up for.
smell too
Right.
much or something. I did just go to dance class, so maybe I should.
Two of these you
Oh,
got.
I don't
now
detect any
the truth
shit.
comes out about Hal's
My
Monday
conflict.
commitment.
It was ballet this week.
Wait, with, is Leilani in that class? Is it at Pineapple?
No, it's at Jaduk.
Oh, okay. Hudson's on the Vintage Duke right now.
That's show week. So we had, the adult class, we had to show the little kids and the ballet dancing, like, high schoolers.
Yeah.
Really awesome. They look really good, and we're like, okay, here's the adults trying to do what you're doing.
You're like, this is great.
Role model. Like, you just gotta be, no, it's okay.
I'm just gonna make, could you give me the warrant? I'm gonna go make more copies.
Which one's it, this?
No,
Yeah.
I think it's,
Oh.
This one?
I don't have that.
I have 9 copies.
There's at least 2 copies on the table downstairs. You might be able to just grab those if that's all you need.
Yeah,
I
thank you.
had both sets of my parents and my in-laws were here for my older son's birthday.
Okay.
And it was like, there's a lot to coordinate.
And I'll stay with you.
No, they left all yesterday morning, but then Max had his paintball birthday party. So I've just been like driving people all over the valley or coordinating like. I'm tired.
Better just grab more copies of the more in a second.
Outside Hampstead, Westchester.
Just got some
I
valley.
don't even remember what town, I know where I stayed, I just don't know where.
There's so many of those little things out there, just like there is here too.
Yeah. It's pretty like that 287
Mhm.
touch, you know, like area.
Yeah. My younger son is named after him, so you're familiar with the area.
There you go.
So we're just waiting for Becky to come back upstairs and then we'll get started.
Probably we shouldn't start with her.
Might make sense since she's the one taking the meeting minutes and all that stuff for, you know.
I assume that we'll get explanations on why this is coming up and what it means, and you're like,
Nope, we're gonna make you guess.
okay,
Sorry.
that'd be awesome.
Let's stick with the usual.
Is it like an all of the above? Is there at least a multiple choice?
Yeah, we will go over all of these.
Yeah, awesome.
There is one primary driver and then some like, oh, we're having one, we should probably deal with this stuff because it needs to be dealt with kind of things.
Yeah, so I think that was the original, was the South County
Right.
Senior Center.
And then there was other stuff that came on.
And then, you know, since that was happening and then that one got removed.
In the meantime, you found new work.
You know, we would go into detail on all of the warrant items.
Val, no Joe? No Joe?
Joe never responded,
Thank you.
so. And I didn't bother him giving that, I thought you said no joke, I'm like,
No, Joe.
no joke.
No.
Did
Um,
I take one from
And I
downstairs?
didn't harass
took
him
one
because
from
I
down.
knew
These-
four people
oh,
had
no,
confirmed
I did
him
not.
pre his quorum.
I have
So
two
I
of
was
this
like,
one,
well,
so-
maybe he's busy, whatever, so I
Yeah.
didn't press. But, you know,
Does someone need a
which
copy
is
of
new,
this one?
because when
We'll
we
get
had
two
four,
copies
you know, we had a,
of that.
Do you wanna sign
I
up for that
don't-
officially?
Yeah, you have that one.
You'll need.
Yeah.
We definitely
Sure,
need to go.
double check. I think I do.
Alrighty, so we're gonna pick back up.
Hi.
so
Do you guys
we'll,
need to call
the
yourselves
finance
into the
committee
order?
is joining this lovely select board meeting, and we still call the finance committee meeting to order.
Perfect. Wonderful. Welcome to the party. So what we're going to be discussing today between the two committees is the special town meeting that we have set for 2 weeks from this Friday, tentatively, and the items that are on that special town meeting and the justification behind them and whatnot. We are also going to take a little bit of time to go over the budget request forms that we'll be sending to all of our department heads, as well as capital improvement forms for capital requests. So starting off with the special town meeting discussion, everyone should now at this point have a special town meeting warrant in front of them. There are 5 articles on here, and if it makes sense, Becky, I'll just go through all 5 of them, and
Yeah.
questions, feel free to stop me.
Yeah.
So the first one is, and this is sort of the driver behind why we're having this is,
Oh, we really should, really knows. Yeah, he's not there.
you know,
Well, you can
We'll come
probably
back
hear
to that one.
us. Josh, we're, ready to meet again if you can hear us.
but we can also move on to 2 and come back with, oh, perfect. Perfect timing. All right, so we are going to discuss, thank you very much. We're going to discuss this item now. So, as many of you may remember, this past year, or maybe it was the year before, we, at town meeting, voted to authorize the purchase of a new ambulance. The South County EMS has 3 ambulances, all of which are very, very old. I think like 10, 15, and 20 something years, or something along those lines. So they have one that's been ordered, takes quite a while for it to arrive. Between then and now, another ambulance became available that doesn't have that kind of a lead time on it, and that would be, in a good position to meet our needs of our aging fleet. And so the ask came from South County EMS and their Board of Oversight to have the 3 towns call a special town meeting to vote on authorizing the use of retained earnings. And so what this means is their retained earnings are much like free cash is for us, where that's the money that they have left over at the end of the year. And so the idea here is that they have the money in their retained earnings to purchase it. So we aren't authorizing actual expenditure from the town, but it means going into the subsequent budget seasons, their retained earnings would be substantially lower, and thus the assessment on the individual towns would be higher because less of it is being offset by retained earnings. Big picture wise, the hope is to be replacing the ambulance on a much tighter schedule, and so every couple of years we'd be replacing an ambulance with 3 of them in rotation. And so having them do it at retained earnings as opposed to having it be a special article every couple of years in town meeting levels out the budget cost a little bit better over the long run, because what we're seeing is going to be more money per year, but steadily that, not just lower, but then every couple of years, another $300,000, another $300,000. So it allows it to be more of a amortized budget in that way. So any questions at this point before I keep going?
I think this is obvious, so it's a new ambulance, but instead of getting the one that we were ordered that was gonna be a long time, we're not gonna get that one.
No, we're still gonna get that
So we're
one.
gonna have 2.
Yes, so the one we've already
2 new
ordered has
ones.
already been ordered and paid for and appropriated the money and all that stuff. That's still happening, but we're not taking ownership of it for, I think, for another year or something like
How
that.
long, I mean, Josh is here and can answer these questions, I'm sure much better than us, but it's hopefully coming in 2026?
Well, that is the plan. That was fantastic, by the way. You did my job for me, so I appreciate it with your description. This was ordered in 2023, fiscal year 24, and typically they have about a 3-year turnaround. So essentially what this does is we're able to find an opportunity to get a brand new ambulance which meets all of our specs with a very rapid turnaround. If ordered, we would be seeing this one delivered, ready to go, in service and on the road before the one we ordered a couple of years ago even shows up. So needless to say, we have a new method of procuring ambulances in the future, and this puts us in a really good position to do just what was mentioned with a capital improvement plan where we can look to replace ambulances on a rolling basis every few years. As far as when the previously ordered one arrives, I've heard everything from spring to first quarter, meeting after July 1st, to we don't know. And just to be clear, it's not necessarily late. They haven't not fulfilled their contractual agreements. They're still well within that. However, we need ambulances. The ambulances that we're currently utilizing as our frontline vehicles through a decade of no preventative maintenance planning have fallen into disrepair and they need replacement. So as frontline vehicles, I do want to keep them as spares. And then just another point I wanted to address about the retained earnings is this will reduce the amount that we can put towards the next fiscal year's budget. That is correct. However, you'll recall that we didn't put much towards it last year either. And there's still going to be some revenue coming in. So this should actually put us in a fairly similar place as we were going into this year. That's the hope anyway. Government shutdown and all of that, Medicare reimbursement potentially being impacted, that's another story.
Great, thank you very much. Any questions from Finance Committee on this? I know this is your guys' first pass on this one.
I have two. I'm curious how we go from no new ambulances in 10 to 15 years to a new ambulance every 2 years. I don't know which one of those is right. That's just a really big shift.
Yeah, so I think his plan is every 3 years to get into that rotation, that every 3 years a new ambulance. And again, Josh is here. Let him talk instead of me yapping.
Yeah, so I apologize. I hope I didn't misspeak. We've had about 10 years of no good preventative maintenance. We have purchased ambulances since then. So our current frontline ambulances are a 2017 and a 2019, which in ambulance years is fairly ancient. These things are abused, not because people are mean, just because that's what they're there for, is to be used. And the typical lifespan of an ambulance, these are at their limit. We can keep them for a few years to come as backups, which I would like to do. But the plan is through a capital improvement plan to what I want to bring to the Deerfield Town Meeting or spring for the new fiscal year is I want to get on the warrant a new capital stabilization fund. I'm working with the town accountant, Holly, to start talking about that and get it set up so that we can, move forward with the plan, which is in addition to taking some of the retained earnings each year and putting those towards the assessment, I think it's equally important that we put some of that money aside so that we're not in this position where I need to come to each town every 5 or 6 years and say, hey, can I have $500,000 appropriated to buy a new ambulance? We want to avoid that situation. We already, assess a tax and we don't want to take it further than that. So by creating the stabilization fund and adhering to an improvement plan. What we hope to do is save an amount every year that we can then apply towards the purchase of a new ambulance every 3 years. Doing that will put us in a really good position where our frontline ambulances are never greater than 6 years old and no spare vehicle is greater than 9 years old. Having these 2 new ambulances arrive in calendar year 2026 would put us at a really good head start for that. It would be nice, it doesn't make it quite as tidy with the 3-year replacement plan, but the reality is we need ambulances to perform our job. And right now our ambulances are in a bad situation.
And that was one of the concerns that I had when we first talked about this, was if we're getting 2 of them at the same time and they have a 6-year lifespan, does that mean 6 years from now we're gonna have 2 that are needing to be retired at the same time? And what's the plan to make one of them go 9 years, or is the plan to make it to replace one of them after only 3 years? Like, what's the plan for when this cycle comes up? Because I just want to make sure we're not either going to borrow too much from a vehicle that's going to be out of spec at that point, or buy a brand new vehicle, use it for 3 years, and be replacing it because we want to get.
Or trade in something with a higher value.
Yeah.
You know.
So yeah, I mean, and that's definitely an option. Also, is that if we can get, this is a $330,000 vehicle. If we can get 200 back it for a 3-year-old vehicle, that's different than we can get 20,000 back for the 3-year-old vehicle. So that would also be useful information to have as well.
So the return, the trade-in value on these is very low typically. The plan here is that I'm saying every 3 years, but what I mean is really this first year I want to do, and I haven't discussed this with the BOO yet. This is our next meeting in early December. The idea here is I want to start that saving with this next year in a lower amount so that we can put a greater amount up towards the assessment. And then on a 3-year cycle, replace one at a time. So that's going to put us at, we have 2 new ambulances. In 3 years, we have 2 3-year-old ambulances and we buy 1 more. One of those vehicles becomes a spare. In 3 years after that, we buy another ambulance. Now we have a brand new ambulance and a 3-year-old ambulance as our primary trucks. And we have a 6-year-old and a much older ambulance as our spares. And ultimately we'll catch up to where nothing is greater than 9 years old. And we're always running a brand new and a 3-year-old ambulance as our primary. That works out pretty well for us.
But I think you touched on sort of what my concern is, which is that after 3 years, a brand new ambulance that's only 3 years old ends up becoming the backup ambulance and not getting a lot of use. And then 3 years after that, it's going to get replaced by another new ambulance that's going to be becoming the backup ambulance. And so that
is incorrect. The 3-year-old ambulance will still be in service as a primary frontline vehicle. We run 2 ambulances.
No, I mean, what you're saying is that 3 years from now, we have 2 3-year-old ambulances and you add a brand new one. And one of the 3 years are your frontline ambulances, and you're saying that the other 3-year-old one becomes the backup ambulance. And all I'm saying is that I don't know that 3 years of frontline work and then backup work is enough life out of that ambulance. Like what we're saying is we should be getting 6 years of frontline life and 3 years of backup life, and this one ambulance we're only getting 3 and 3. That's the concern there, is that we are losing 3 years on that ambulance, or we have an ambulance that's wildly newer than we need it to be for the backup ambulance, and then after those additional 3 years it hasn't gotten much wear and tear, it's still kind of new, and we're back to trying to figure out how to make that 3, 6, 9 year schedule work when we have a machine that's not being used. That's my concern.
Well, yeah, sure, no, it's a good concern, but what a horrible problem to have that our trucks are too nice. I look forward to such a problem like that. Ultimately, what will happen is by continuing to replace these on a 3-year cycle, we will catch up to this point where 6 years is the useful frontline service life, right? It's only going to take 2 ambulance purchases to get there. And we're in business. It puts us in the situation now, if we don't buy the new ambulance, we're gonna get this one we ordered a couple of years ago. That's going to arrive sometime next year. It's gonna be after town meeting. It'll be after the start of the fiscal year in all likelihood. And now I've got, now I'm in a far worse situation. So, to me, having a 3-year-old vehicle as a useful backup, and by backup, what I mean is it's going to be used all the time, right? There's always a detail, there's always one of the primaries going out for some type of service, some type of equipment change, some type of you name it. So these things are, at this point, we have a very robust preventative maintenance schedule for these, and they're always being worked on. And having those backups is very useful. If they're all in good condition, that just puts us in the place we want to be.
Could you tell us a little bit about this opportunity where instead of waiting 3 years, we're able to get one so quickly? Is this a new track that will be repeatable, or is this a one-off kind of thing that's come to us, and so we should think about it in that context?
Yeah, no, that's great. So this opportunity, as I put it, is a kind of, maybe opportunity isn't the best word, but it is a break in mindset from the way that South County EMS has historically ordered its vehicles. What the agency has done up until now has been to order very customized ambulances from a couple of different manufacturers with long lead times. They've gone about it by purchasing a chassis separately, and then that chassis goes to the ambulance manufacturer. It sits there for a period of time. The ambulance box, the patient compartment, is then custom spec'd and built, and this is why it takes 3 years. What we're doing with this is we've found a manufacturer out of New York who is on what's the word I'm looking for? They're on a purchasing list that we can use through Town of Deerfield. And the ambulance is spec'd nearly identically to what they have been custom ordering. However, it's not a custom unit. It is a stock unit. It's a very reputable manufacturer. They've been around a long time. They're well regarded. They're very affordable. It doesn't have a lot of the bells and whistles that our folks have become accustomed to, but the good part of that is those bells and whistles are the things that always break. So I, for one, won't miss them. So it's a fairly stock unit. We don't need to concern ourselves with paying an extra $10,000 and having an extra year of production because we want the floor and the seat cushions a very particular color. So, the idea is moving away from this ridiculously expensive customization of our vehicles and getting something fairly standard that meets all of our specifications. And so that's the idea moving forward, is that we continue with the stock unit, and there is some wiggle room for some of the things that we need that make it unique to us. But the basic layout of it, the truck itself, all of the locations of the cabinets, all of that is standard. And that's what makes it so rapid to get. Does that make sense?
That does make a ton of sense. I guess then, wouldn't we consider trying to line up that more rapid acquisition in line with our ideal procurement plan? Or at least, even if we're going to double up in the next 12 months, bring it to a full town meeting? I guess then I don't understand why it would go to special and now if there's not some particular urgency, or
So
maybe I'm missing that.
the urgency is that we have to move on this if we want it. If not, it's going to get sold to somebody else.
But are there more of these available?
So that's a very solid question. So I don't know if you.
To speak to that,
Yeah.
Yeah, to speak to that, that is correct. We could, look to procure this at town meeting. The problem is, this is available now. I can get it now. It's got our name on it. And the urgency is really, we need ambulances that aren't out of service and being repaired 2 weeks out of every month. The vehicles that we have are simply inadequate to perform our job, and they need to be replaced. So waiting an additional, we don't know how long, is less attractive of an option versus a sure thing that we can obtain now.
Okay.
So it's jumping at a chance to put us in a really good position.
And so if we move forward with this one would be in service in how many months?
Theoretically, January, February, possibly.
And the one we're waiting on is somewhere first quarter, mid next year, we don't know?
We don't know.
Okay. Thank you for answering those questions.
So the way I see it, there's really two things that we're doing here. One is we're dealing with the fact that we have really old ones currently, and the second one is we're trying to get onto this new schedule. And ideally, we would do it in a seamless way where, hey, we bought one 3 years ago, we're buying one now, we're buying one in 3 years, and it all just works out that way. Part of what we're hearing from South County EMS is that the other ones are already so out of spec that waiting 3 more years for the second one of the frontline ones is not a great idea. That being said, the way that we are introducing this new schedule with these two, if we buy another one in 3 years, from my perspective, cuts the value on one of these two by 3 years, and we lose out on, 3 years out of a 9-year vehicle is $100,000 worth of value in that vehicle that we're not getting by doing that. If we bought two right now, or we have one that's coming, we buy this one, and we didn't get a third for 6 years, that is
5
meaning-
years or something,
that's,
right?
Or 4.5 even, whatever. We find somewhere in the middle where we stretch one of them a little longer, we have the other one a little less than we want, but we get back on the schedule versus losing 3 years on one and not gaining anything on the other. I'd much rather gain 1.5 years on one, lose 1.5 years on one, meet in the middle, and be happier there. So, from my perspective, it may not sound like it, but I'm actually all for getting this ambulance because we need it. I just want to make sure that we're putting in place the policies and opinions that are transmitted to South County EMS to make sure that we aren't losing value in the long run. That's my real main concern there.
Right, and I think one thing to keep in mind is when they refer to it as a backup ambulance, it's actually still a high visibility vehicle. That's what's sitting at the football games. That's what's sitting at Treehouse Brewery. You know what I mean? They're still performing as an ambulance. They're not, something that's sitting in a garage waiting for another vehicle to go in for maintenance to be used. They're used, and they're used in some high visibility, public areas. It's not just sitting there waiting for a vehicle to break down and say, okay, now we use the backup.
Just even if we were to consider all 3 of them to be frontline vehicles, we would end up with 2 of these having 9 years of frontline use and one of them having 6 years. Because 3 years from now we have another vehicle, 3 years from now another vehicle, then that one that only has 6 years, 3 frontline, 3 backup, that one gets retired at that point because we now have a new vehicle. We don't need to have 4, we only need to have 3. We're not going to maintain 4, we're going to maintain 3. So again, I'm just trying to make sure that if we're going to get the next 3 vehicles, we're looking at 9, 9, and 6. I'd much rather 9, 10.5, and 7.5, and having it, work out in a way where, it's still going to be a heck of a lot better than it had been in the past with our old vehicles when we kept them for extended periods of time.
And I mean, there's a lot of money getting spent on maintenance. That obviously with 2 new vehicles, hopefully a lot of that work is covered under warranty work or what, you know what I mean? There's always going to be tires and gas and oil change type maintenance, brakes, whatever, but I'm guessing there's nothing covered in warranty any longer on any of your vehicles, is there, Josh?
No, we're long past that. In fact, I overspend on my vehicle maintenance and repair line item, the last couple of budgets since I've been here. Last year, we're looking at almost double the line item budgeted to repair these trucks. I just want to kind of go back to what Crystal was saying about how these are vehicles that are highly visible, but on top of those details, those football games, treehouse, the marathon, all of these things, these are used very regularly in our primary rotation. These do become ambulance 1 and ambulance 2 as those other vehicles are being serviced. So it is necessary to maintain a very high quality fleet of vehicles. And to speak to the point about the 3 ambulances, my plan is to keep 4. I would like to keep this at 4 because that's the situation we're in. On occasion, we do need that 4th ambulance, not only as a spare or backup for vehicles being serviced, but because we simply need more ambulances to offer at certain events. So having that capability is absolutely fantastic. We don't have it currently, but this would get us there.
And you mentioned that the preventative maintenance was sort of lacking on some of these older vehicles. Is there, I think you mentioned there's a plan to have a maintenance schedule so that they don't fall behind with the new vehicles?
Yeah, definitely, and that's been started. A lot of credit to one of our paramedics, Zachary Battistoni, who's really put together the bulk of this program. I'm really indebted to the work that he's done. Essentially, what we have set up is we've done a lot of work in the garage. We have a mobile repair and preventative maintenance person coming to our station very regularly, doing major work, doing minor work, doing alignments, doing you name it. And the capability they bring is just unbelievable. And we're spending half the money to do this than we were by taking things down to the vehicle to pay for kind of ad hoc repairs as they come up. So it's really been outstanding. On top of that, we're just not running into so many of the small problems, because we have somebody looking at them. So the hope is that with new warranted vehicles and really babying them and taking care of them under this program, well, as much as you can baby an ambulance anyway, that they will be in a position where after their 6 to 9 years, we can sell it, we can trade it in as part of the replacement, and it will retain a higher value, right? And hopefully we decrease the line item budget spending for vehicle repairs and maintenance. And hopefully, this is the most important thing to me, is that we have the vehicles out of service fewer days out of the year so that we can use them. Unfortunately, what we've been running into the last year or so is we've had it come up on a handful of occasions where I've got a crew coming into work and I don't have an ambulance to put them in. We've always had one. We've never gone down entirely, but we've had to find creative uses. So I don't want to be faced with that situation. Sunderland especially has been fairly busy for us. And if there's a second call, it's always in Sunderland. So I don't want to lose that ability to respond.
I just want to ask, what was the cost of the previous one? The one we're waiting for?
I think it was 10,000 more than this one.
Just 10,
believe-
just 10?
I think it was, 10 to 15,000 more than this one.
So very, very comparable, but it was higher.
Okay.
Any more questions from the finance committee on this item before we move on?
No more questions. I just say, Josh, thank you. I really appreciate the revisiting the procurement. I think trying to cut down that timeline, even if it's not saving money, saving time gives us more flexibility. That's really good. I share some of the other concerns about stacking, but I think that's a future problem, not a present one, so I'm supportive of this. I just know it's a little, I was surprised to hear that it will then take the fleet from 3 to 4. I worry a little bit about where that leads. You know, if there's now, well, should we expect to see expanded services in future budgets or future additional things we can do that we're not really contemplating with the costs of this? But I just note that as something I'm thinking right now. It has no bearing. I'm supportive of moving this forward.
Yeah, this is sort of, that was it's almost exactly my thinking is like, today I'm happy, but in 3 years, if you come asking for another vehicle, we might be telling you to push it off in a year or two down that line. So just be prepared for that pushback in a couple of years. But no, I think for today, for what we need, getting this ambulance in service faster and having 2 reliable, good vehicles be our 2 frontline vehicles that don't have all these downtimes is the goal here. So.
I have one last question. Is there room for 4 ambulances indoors?
No.
Oh,
Your
okay.
building?
No, there's not. There's, well, we could talk about procuring some new garage space if you like next. I'd be happy to.
I just had to ask.
If you want to, if we want to remain on future problems, I'm working with Pete Kane and the town of Whately to utilize some of the space that they're building to store the 4th vehicle. It's not ideal, but it's the best solution we have at the moment. So it meets all of our needs. It's easy to get to. It's close to the station.
Okay.
So that's the working plan.
Thanks.
Alrighty, thank you very much. We're going to move on from this article unless anyone else has any last minute. Perfect. To Article 2. Article 2 is about transferring $5,000 from wherever it's coming from into the select board / town administrator line item. For those on on the finance committee, if you're not aware, Becky's going to have a series of surgeries this fall. Just have 4 surgeries, and for each one, she's going to be out for a little while after them. In an attempt to try to maintain the consistency of the offices and having people in here and having support we need for select board meetings, finance meetings, all those kind of things, we're looking to hire Margaret, who had been our interim town administrator before Becky, on a very temporary part-time basis to help out and fill in the gaps when possible. We put $5,000 down in here as a random number. We actually talked about it earlier and did some math, and $5,000 is about 90 something hours worth of someone's time, so 2.5-ish, a little less than 2.5 weeks. With
At
4
full-time.
at full time. That would be exactly full-time 40-hour weeks. With the 4 surgeries, we would like to try to budget for worst case scenario being a full week after each surgery. So 4 weeks, which is $10,000 instead of 5. The idea of being that none of us want to spend any of that money or most of that money or any kind of part of that money. We're going to be as conservative as we can about it. If we don't do something like this, though, we don't have any way of being able to do that. And then we're just in a position where, sorry, we're going to have to close down the town hall for a couple days, or there's just no town administrator availability during this week or whatever it is. And so that's what the ask is there. Any surplus that doesn't get used by that effort would be then returned via free cash to the general budget.
And it's hard to predict at this point whether Margaret would be able to pick up those duties, the necessary duties, right, in 25 hours. In some weeks, she might need 40 in other weeks, we just can't predict what's going on, so I think we were kind of planning, worst case scenario being 4 or 5 weeks.
We're not hoping for a worst case scenario.
No.
What we're saying is we don't want to call another special town meeting in
Right.
December because we end up running
So
into.
our Article 2 says 5,000, but you're saying we should
Right,
we're really voting on a 10,000. Okay.
Yeah,
Recommending
and
a change.
we tabled it earlier because we're like, well, we're going to have the finance meeting here anyways. We should talk to them about it because obviously that's a you guys thing. But that was our thinking behind that, and that's the purpose for that $5,000/$10,000 is to give the town the flexibility to again be able to maintain the services that we want to be able to maintain. So, questions from the finance committee on that one?
Just structurally, like, let's say we couldn't do this and then we had to come up with that money, what would be other than special town meeting, is there not a reserve account that you could fund that out of?
You are in charge of it.
That's what I
Yeah.
thought, and that's why, so
Yeah,
how do we think about the interplay between using a reserve account for unexpected things that come up throughout the year, which this is,
yeah,
versus, but I guess this is where we have a special town meeting anyway.
If we
So-
would call a special town meeting just
Just
for
for
this.
that.
But since it's there,
Gotcha.
this is like, let's not
Right.
tie up the money we have. Hey, it's most likely gonna go back to the town at the end of the day. I would just hate to see us take that money out of the reserve fund, and then it's a really bad winter, and George says, hey, I need extra money for plowing or something like that, you know? So,
So since we're having a meeting anyway, let's
so driving
just
me anyway,
make
we're
it
just gonna make
all-
it a little bit more of an
but,
official transfer of money than having to come to you guys and ask you. It also, big picture wise, means the town's voting on it, it's not just your committee deciding where the money goes. And so it's a little bit more democratic in that respect, which I think is not a bad thing.
And I just want to bring up the funding source. So the accountant sent out everything to DOR last week to certify free cash. We don't know if we'll have it back for special town meeting. So when we were putting the motions together, the balance and stabilization is $386,000. And at this point, unless free cash is certified, I'm thinking that's, in the motions, most likely will specify stabilization, which will require the 2/3 vote. But the motions can be changed at town meeting if the free cash is certified. But I wanted to have a discussion with you guys if you have a preference between the free cash and stabilization.
I would prefer free cash if possible.
Yes.
And if we do stabilization, I would want us to make a mental note of that for making sure, almost every year we transfer some free cash to stabilization. Anyways, I would want to make sure we add the 10,000 on top of that, so we are replenishing what we took out effectively. But yeah, it's one of those that comes from this, it comes from that. At the next town meeting in the spring, it's all going back in one big pile before it gets deputed out anyways. Any other questions from?
Do you guys have any preference between free cash or stabilization?
I echo his sentiments.
Yeah, I think
Prefer
free cash if
but I
certified, but
understand
otherwise
the
we-
limitation.
Good.
Yeah.
Just wanted to hear you say.
Sounds good.
And the 10,000 sounds fine if that's the recommendation, understand.
Okay.
We're not exactly sure.
And we're hoping we won't
We
need
hope
it.
it's.
right.
Yeah.
It'd be wonderful if we don't need it. That means everything, went way better than planned versus as planned.
Alrighty, next up is Article 3. Article 3 and Article 4, I'm going to kind of lump them together a little bit because they're basically the same thing, and that is that both of them are prior year bills to be paid. One for the amount of $105, one for the amount of $105 and for $35 for two different things. And then the next one is for $1,300.
And it's $1,300 and something. I'm waiting for, to get the bill from the chief.
Okay. So one of the things I will point out on these, and this is a surprise to me because I didn't realize this, is that for special town meeting, prior town bills are a 9/10 vote, which basically means that we got to have pretty much a unanimous or it's not going to pass. Wouldn't be the end of the world if it didn't. It would mean that we would have to deal with it during a normal town meeting, which is a 4/5 vote rather than a 9/10 vote. So that's slightly easier to do. That being said, I haven't been to a single town meeting, I don't think, ever, where we haven't been nearly unanimous on everything every single time.
So is the reason why Article 3 are coming to town meeting rather than us, the finance committee, just saying, do our little leftover bill thing, because this is different? Like, these are small numbers. Usually in July we meet and move.
Oh, the year's over now. That's
Right.
the difference.
These
But that, we do that in July usually when the year's over
Right,
too.
right. But see, the problem with these bills, you guys can't pay them with your finance reserves.
Okay,
Because these bills, 2 are from 2023.
Yeah, there's several years.
okay.
And then the other one, I think the 1,300 is 2023, and I believe the $35 one, it's from an event you went to.
Oh boy, sorry about that.
And it was in 2024.
Okay, so we can't do that, it's not the normal, we had an extra bill at the end of the fiscal year catch up.
Right.
This is older stuff.
And
Okay.
if people had, if they, at least the 24 one, if I had known in 24, fiscal 24, we could have paid it, but, yeah,
This is catch up for us, and
clean up.
hopefully once this is done, we're no past baggage hanging over both.
So this would have still had to go to regular town meeting if we weren't to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would have had to be articles, and the department heads brought them to me when I said we were having a special town meeting, so.
The main advantage of doing it now versus in the spring is that the bills get paid sooner, so the people waiting on the money the town owes them for multiple years now actually get the money back as opposed to waiting even longer.
Seems like
So,
a
you
good
know,
plan.
it's not a huge deal, it's just.
I mean, we
might as well
wouldn't
take
have
care
called
of
a
it.
special town meeting for
Exactly.
just these.
Yeah,
but
for
Yeah.
35.
Our last one is a
We're gonna
slightly,
make Dan pay.
our last one is a slightly larger one. Article 5 is, we have a PFAS issue, up on the northern part of town. And, Ty and Bond, their estimate for, is it estimate or is it a final? number?
This is well, they usually stick to their estimates, they don't go
Okay.
over, so it's not to exceed.
Not to exceed that amount. And this is for remediation for that PFAS that we, as a town, are responsible for doing. We don't have any choice about this, just to be clear. So that's what this is. It's just, we have to make a transfer to be able to cover the ongoing cost of that. We will, as we budget for future years, budget better so that we have the money available for this kind of thing. Now we have a better idea of what the scope could be. We just were not prepared for this much money this year, so.
And it's also, we're hopeful that this potentially could be a final cleanup of this issue, but we don't know.
For this particular,
For this particular, out, the way it's come out around the landfill.
Yeah.
right, but there will be ongoing testing and
Yes,
this
yes. the
could,
land- Yes, it could keep up, but there's two separate things. We have the landfill off of Reservation Road, and there's a number of properties on Reservation Road that are tested annually or biannually. And then one of those tests last year proved positive in a residence. It never reoccurred in that residence, and 3 more testings, or 2 more testings. And then, this is to do additional testing, just to confirm that none of these houses have come live again. But with PFAS, you never know. And what I'm trying to work towards is, I believe there could be cause to have testing in the spring, but we don't know. I was considering asking you guys to round it up to 20,000 for more lab work, because it's potential that will happen. But I think we should stick with the estimate as it is and talk to finance committee or take it to annual town
Yeah,
meeting.
okay,
It's
we
more.
can come back for annual town
Yeah.
meeting and have a better idea at that point of what our spring needs are gonna be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So am I right that all of these articles come out of the same stabilization fund?
Yes,
Unless we get free cash freed up?
yes.
So you're saying the stabilization fund has about 386 in it, and these together come to about 350? Am I not wrong? I'm not wrong there.
No,
Ambulance.
the-
Okay.
the- the
Well,
ambulance.
The ambulance not stabilization. okay.
no, the
Yeah.
ambulance is
Ambulance
getting,
is
Yeah.
a retained earnings from South
That's
County.
right, sorry, thank you.
It's not gonna be
Okay.
any assessment to the town.
And even if it was, it would be our portion of that, which as Sunderland, I think is worth 30% or something like that of
Yeah.
the bill.
Okay.
So it would be.
So the
100%.
the ambulance, so just Articles 2 through 6 are the,
Yeah, and so
5
it-
are
it's, I
stabilization.
think it's, if we have the 10, we're looking at about 25,000 total for the 3 items.
Yep.
Which is, not an insignificant amount of money, but it's not,
Yeah,
blow a hole in the town budget kind of money. And that's all money that we should be able to return to stabilization in the budget in the spring.
Josh has a question.
We will.
Josh is.
Yes, Josh.
I apologize for interrupting. There was one other item that we failed to bring up, and that is another request for capital expense on this warrant for the striker power loading system. Do you have copies of that? It may be mixed in with the ambulance.
Is it mixed in with the ambulance, because I didn't,
I don't have it here.
no, I don't. This is the form you gave me, Josh. Did you email it separately?
No, I think it would have been there. I'm gonna forward it to you right now. But basically what this is a request for $74,866, also from South County EMS Department retained earnings. And this is for the Stryker power loading systems, which let us use our stretchers. So one is for the ambulance we're hoping to buy, and the other is for the ambulance that we're waiting on already. That money was never appropriated, or that project never funded. They left that to a later date, and here we are. So this kind of tacks on to that. Let me just
Should it
send
be
this real
added to the
quickly.
ambulance? Should it be added to Article 1?
I would lean towards making it a separate article, because there may be appetite for the town. In fact,
The separate-
I might separate it out as
Two separate.
ambulance, the striker system for one ambulance and a system for the other ambulance. Because if the town decides not to go ahead with the new ambulance, we still
Exactly.
want to get one of the systems, so the ambulance we know we're getting
That
gets
makes
their system.
total sense.
So I would put in a 2 and a 3 after
Okay.
one, shift them all down, and have it be for each individual unit. Everyone else in agreement on that?
Yes.
And Josh, you emailed me the specifics so I can break out the cost for one.
Yeah, it should be coming over right now.
I mean, you could tack one of them on with the ambulance.
Yeah, one could
Yeah,
be ambulance
okay, that's a good point. So
and
yeah, so-
striker, and then one striker for the other one that we ordered that we're hoping to get some
Because
soon.
there's no point in getting a new ambulance and not getting the striker for it,
Right.
and vice versa. So one of them can be tied together, but the other one should be a separate article for the existing one. Okay.
Josh, these ambulances are not usable without these systems. I guess I don't know what these systems are, but
They get the,
I understand
Yeah,
that.
correct.
So-
They're essential.
Okay.
Yeah, that is what helps get the people into the back of the ambulance without
So-
breaking the backs of the.
Yeah, years ago, you used to actually manually lift up the stretcher and
Yeah.
shove it in the back of the ambulance. This is,
But we don't have any of these now.
they're on the existing ambulances.
They're
now.
custom,
So the new
Part
ones
of the
need this.
ambulance.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, they're an add-on.
Okay.
And again, Josh knows way more about it than I do, but there's a life expectancy, there's a, they can't be,
You basically get a new one with each new ambulance.
Yeah.
and
Very much so.
Yeah, so yeah, putting one with the ambulance and saying it's for the ambulance and the system, and then the second one saying we need a system for the one that's coming, that we already paid
Wow.
for.
How is this
We've
not
done
on
the
last,
system.
yeah,
Thank you.
sorry.
because they didn't know when the ambulance was gonna get here.
Right,
But you're
but-
gonna need one.
Because
Right,
this
but
system
if
takes a
you
lot
were
less
gonna
time
need
to order than the ambulance itself does.
So we didn't pay up front for it.
So paying for something that would be then just sitting in their warehouse for 2 years or whatever until the ambulance was ready, it made sense. Whether we were talking about the second ambulance or not right now, this coming town meeting, we would be having a discussion about adding
But
this.
last town meeting would have been even better time to do it.
I don't disagree. No, I don't disagree. Yes, it would have been. And again,
Well,
this is,
yes, and because honestly, what you don't want to run into with this is they end of life the technology and they push something new to market, and now all of a sudden we're working with incompatible systems or technology that they won't service any longer. So in a sense, it kind of does make some sense to wait till closer to the delivery date. But yeah, it is frustrating to be sure.
But on that, should we wait until actual town meeting for the other one then, since that isn't even gonna be happening until after town meeting next year?
Well, you could, but I've already got it on the town meeting warrants for 2 other towns, so.
All right.
well, and also,
That's-
we don't know when this other ambulance is gonna come. He said that it could be, further into the year, but it could be Q1. And so waiting until after, if we wait, we risk having the ambulance we ordered 3 years ago arrive before we have this technology, before we have this component that we need, and then we're waiting on the new component, and I have no idea how long the component takes to arrive, but would imagine it's a non-zero amount of time.
So, Josh, you said this would also come out of retained earnings for these two systems. And before, when you were
Yes.
talking about the ambulance, you said that it shouldn't drastically, all else being equal, affect your budget for next year. That retained earnings usually, like, you know, that you thought you had enough retained earnings that you wouldn't have to be like, okay, because we used up our retained earnings, now we have to ask for more money. You don't think that's the case likely for next year's budget? Even if you use
Well, I
another,
Yeah, I wish I could predict that, and I don't know, I don't see us level funding. I think we'll have to go up some, whether we buy this ambulance or not. You know, what I suggest is, this doesn't completely wipe out our retained earnings, although it does a good job of it. But we will continue to earn revenue, and I think this should put us in a very similar starting point.
okay,
But, yeah, I could absolutely, I'm not saying I'm not gonna ask for more money, come budget season, because in all likelihood, you know, costs continue to go up for everyone.
I guess, you know, just on that track, like, you know, so 350 and then another, what's the total for two of them, another 150, or is it 70 for both of them? What is the total amount for both of these two?
Yeah, that's for both of them. It's
70 for both.
74 for both.
Yeah, so, you know, 400,
74, yeah, 866.
420,000 is a lot to absorb in retained earnings without causing price increases. I'd almost have concerns either way, whether next year's budget is higher or if it's not. That's a lot.
Well, and back to what we were saying in the beginning is that it's going to be an increase, it's going to decrease their ability to offset the budget for sure. But it's doing that every year for 3 years versus the first 2 years looks artificially lower, and then the towns are paying $100,000 of a new ambulance that third year. You know, we are, and Deerfield's paying their chunk, and we're paying their chunk. And so it's really just a question of, over a 10-year period, it all washes out. Assuming you go ahead with all the ambulances, where that money comes from really doesn't matter at that point. It's either coming out of retained earnings and we pay more for the service, or retained earnings lowers the service and we're paying for capital expenditure for the vehicle. The town's overall outlay is the same in either one of those. The reason I like doing it this way is because then we have a more consistent year to year, and we don't end up having that third year where the ambulance is coming in be the same year we had a 20% increase to the health insurance or something like that. It just makes it a little bit smoother for the town to absorb.
I agree with all that. I think the fact that it's happening at a special is not awesome. Like, part of the normal annual budget cycle conversation for something this big would be, especially now with it being bigger, would be certainly preferable.
Right, and I think that, you know, there was, initially, we were gonna have the special town meeting because the South County Senior Center wanting to move, and that was the original on this.
So we weren't gonna have it because of this?
No, this was not,
We didn't, well,
we didn't know about this when the initial talks were for having a special town meeting for South County Senior Center.
Okay.
And then the South County Senior Center, the scope of overall has changed, and it's being pushed back out enough that we can deal with that at special town meeting.
at annual town.
At
Yeah.
annual town meeting.
Okay, that's
But
right.
when we knew the special, or when it started talking about the special town meeting, this was another one of those things that, you know, kind of came up in that same time frame as South County, and it was like, oh, you know.
I'm trying to stay supportive here. Like,
No, I know,
now,
I think,
yes,
it
the
was,
door got opened, and now many other things are going through the door, but not the original thing that opened the door. That's
Correct.
not the best fact either.
yeah, well,
But,
that's,
Yeah, there was discussion.
that was the
that-
truth of it, I mean, I'm not gonna,
Yeah, the select board was like, well, we don't do special town meetings, and I was like, oh my God, this might not happen at all, but to work regionally with these groups.
And that's, I think the key to it is that if we were driving this special town meeting just for us for this, we probably would just cancel it. we have 2 other towns that are already going ahead with doing this. Coordinating it between 3 towns is a nightmare to begin with in general, so being able to
So
do
if we
this.
don't do it,
If we don't do this, the other 2 towns don't do it also, and it falls through. And not that like we need to like give the peer pressure on that or whatever,
Right.
but just that like, you know,
It's the best
we're
of
one
both.
part of a larger moving machine, and we're trying to do our part and not hold the whole process up.
So you may not know this, but so how did their special town meetings get
For
initiated?
the exact same reason as ours,
For-
because
oh,
both
for
of
this
them are
year.
regional
Right,
between the
right,
towns.
right,
right.
So, and then the same thing happened with Deerfield
Right.
and Whately. They opened up the door, and now they have a full
Right.
docket of things that are like, oh, great, well, we can do that also. So now all 3 towns have already decided to do it, have all these things on here, and there's other items on here which, you know, many of them we could push off. The town administrator thing kind of can't, so, you know. Believe me, we went back and forth on, do we cancel it, do we keep going forward with it, what do we do here, quite a bit ourselves.
A lot.
A lot.
So when you're on the select board, you can decide.
That's why they pay them the big bucks.
Dylan's
Oh, yes.
promoted.
They're physically large, but not worth very much. Okay. Was there any other questions? We kind of, at the end, kind of got veered off there. Were there any other questions on the PFAS thing? Anything on that?
I have a question on that. So I'm sure this is all that needs to happen. I don't know a lot about this. What would happen with this if we weren't having a special town meeting? What would we do? When would we do it? When would the town vote on it?
I'd be searching for other money and coming to your door.
so the finance committee would be asked to deal with it.
This is unfortunately one of those things where we are required by the state to remediate it, and there's a lot of requirements, and it's very particular and very
Oh,
picky.
yes, important
And
section.
it's,
Yeah.
I want to be clear, this is not a, we like this money, this is a, we have to find this money one way or the other. If we don't, we're out of compliance with
So
the
other than the ambulances, Article 5 could have just come to finance committee for our,
Yeah, we could come and ask for, but we would be taking it out of the reserve account, which is not ginormous, and again, leaves us in a position.
Early in the year.
Yeah,
So.
But, you know, like, that's what it's for,
Right.
it is.
right?
Yeah,
And if it needs to be bigger, because we consistently have things that come up, I think that's a much better path than when we have a special town meeting, hey, let's get all this stuff out ahead of time. Like, I get it, like, we don't want to run out, but to me, variances and surprises, like, that's part of every year, and I think seeing what those are, and reporting back on what those were is good budget practice, not bad budget practice.
we actually did discuss this past year increasing the amount of the reserve fund. Because sort of in pursuant to what we're talking about the $10,000, if you don't spend it, it goes back into the same pool. So whether it's sitting in nebulous free cash that's uncertified and unusable, or it's sitting in a reserve fund that is usable,
Right,
you know,
right.
the flip side argument to that is the town at large doesn't necessarily want to give us a blank check for too much money.
Mhm.
Because then the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Give
7
us
of
a
us
blank check. No,
can
Yeah.
do whatever we want with it. And so it's a balancing act between having enough money to do whatever we need to do and not taking so much that the town feels nervous about handing us that blank check. So yes, I agree. I think that especially the next couple of years with what's going on at the federal level filtering down to us soon, we're going to want to shore up as much of the reserves as we can and put ourselves in a position where we have that flexibility. Unfortunately, we didn't last year. So we are here.
Yeah, we were trying not to go in a full boat override last year, so.
Yeah. Last year was a very tight year. Many of you were there for it. And we ended up having to sort of borrow from everywhere we could in order to make it all work. And so I don't remember the discussion exactly, but I'm pretty sure the discussion about adding to the reserve fund was, well, we just don't have
Right.
Yeah.
the wiggle room this year without having no free cash, which is not a good place to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, and since we're getting ready to start budget season soon, just be aware this year maybe not the worst, but the next couple are gonna be interesting.
Okay.
So. Any other questions about the items here?
Is this going to be the 12,250 you had mentioned, maybe a bigger number for additional lab work or things?
Yeah, I think I'll double it, well, I'm gonna leave it at 12,250 because you guys, if you don't see it again, unless you wanna, yeah, I think if we just go with this, we'll be okay.
And we'll have an opportunity in the spring at the
Right, if we
town
have
meeting
more of that,
to-
we have April.
And also establish a more realistic amount of money. that we
So
need
there
to
is
do that.
money that goes into an account or a budget line for PFAS every year.
No,
No, it's just monitoring, right? You're monitoring.
right,
Right.
no, there was a small amount of ARPA money spent.
That's what it was, ARPA money.
It
yeah.
was all ARPA money, so we haven't budgeted it at this
Okay.
point. And.
So the money, right, or the line item is for PFAS testing only. There's no money getting built up there for anything that could happen greater than testing.
Right,
But in the spring, we may want to establish that.
Yeah.
Establish
And we
that.
don't know what the annual cost will be. It'll still, DEP will
well,
tell us.
that's what has been very positive. We brought in Ty and Bond. Stan Tech had done the original. Ty and Bond had a much longer history with PFAS than the individual I had been talking with. And they are very strategic in looking at things. They have worked with the landfill folks at DEP to sort out the difference, because it's a very different thing when it's just in the landfill than when it's coming near residences. And you have to be really careful when it's approaching any of the residential properties. And so, anyway, so I had the Stan Tech proposal for $75,000 reviewed. And then we hired Ty and Bond for I think it was about $20,000, where they reoriented the work to be strategic about the landfill where it comes towards the residents, not just the landfill in general, because I think we're most concerned about it moving towards the residences. And I also, they did a good job, so it's been reoriented. The test results have been surprisingly non-detect in the last couple of rounds. So we're just doing some more testing to see if it stays that way. Potentially it could. Potentially it could show up in another part of town at any time. But
And it's, big picture wise, it's a huge X factor for all towns.
Yeah.
Shrewsbury, a number of years ago, and Becky, remember this, had a huge issue with PFAS, and it can be a giant budget buster for a town of our size. Luckily, so far, this one doesn't seem to be quite as disastrous and widespread as it could be. Very excited about the last couple of tests going back non-detect. But sort of the point is that we don't know. In the spring, they could detect 2 more houses that need remediation, and then we're looking at $50,000 more or something like that. We don't really know.
filters
Yeah. So, question for you, Becky. What do you need from us today in terms of the 2 committees and this
I
document?
need the finance committee to decide which articles they recommend.
Mm-hmm.
And if you recommend them all, great. I need to indicate that on the final draft.
And
So you need to,
Quick question on that.
take votes.
But,
We are
but Article
talking
2 is
about-
now, so there's an extra there's a new article. Article 2 is a new article that's just so Article 1 now is changed from 325 to
About 360.
add another 37 to that, so
360, and then there's another 37 in Article 2 for the second striker system. And then Article 2 is 3, Article 3 is 4.
Yes.
In Article
In Article new 3 is gonna be 10 instead of
10,000.
5.
10,000.
Yes.
Yep. And Article 3 is, or 4 is 5, Article 5 is 6.
Also, I will just mention this, we have already noticed that all of the wording on this says Board of Selectmen instead of Select Board, and we'll be changing that before we submit final drafts of this. Not that it really matters a whole lot to your board or
And
not,
there's-
but it does us, so.
And there's a date of 2016 on the final page that will be corrected.
That as well,
The whole thing.
yes. So a little bit of housekeeping on this.
So
but-
we'll look anything like this, but
But other than that, please vote.
But vote for it anyway.
So, and then the other step too is tomorrow, legal needs all these updates and changes.
Yep, I'll try to get out tonight. Yeah, so the lawyer might come back with some changes too. But the select board's gonna, since they do the final approval of the warrant, they're gonna vote it contingent upon the legal review. And if they have questions on anything in the legal review, I am gonna schedule a meeting so that they can ask the lawyer. And if anything like that comes up, I will forward to all you guys too.
But if anything that comes up, then our
meeting.
votes won't matter anymore, right?
Well, that's why we'll have a new meeting and you can review.
Is there a magic date about when the special time meeting is gonna be, other
Friday.
than as soon as it can be? Like, I guess, why wouldn't we get this to the final form it's gonna be and then vote and approve it? I know we'll lose a week,
Well,
but,
the concern is that we're trying to avoid Thanksgiving and like all of the stuff that goes around then. We're trying to get it in before that. That's why
So the
we're,
So I
special town
apologize.
meeting is scheduled for November 14th.
okay.
Friday is the last day this can get posted.
This coming Friday.
Yes,
What day of the week is the 14th?
it's a Friday.
that's a Friday.
Yeah, so this Friday, we have to post it, so that 2 weeks from then,
So
We
if
can
if
do
there's
it.
if there's changes,
What?
then the finance committee will just be blank. Because we can't vote again on our recommendation before the meeting. So it's just blank then from us.
We would have to-
for
We'd have to
that,
vote by Friday.
or you'd have to vote again for by Friday. So yeah, I guess, let's say he comes back and says, I have a problem with Article 6. We could potentially see going into the special town meeting with your guys' recommendation on everything but Article 6.
I think that's probably more realistic, just that, hopefully most of us will be at the, we can talk
And-
about it, but why is there no recommendation? Because it
Because we
changed
had to
and we didn't have a
change the
chance to
wording.
vote on it.
And
right?
exactly, you guys will be, some contingent of you guys will be available to answer the questions from the people who attend. On most of these, I doubt they're gonna ask a lot of questions, but there may be some questions on some of them, so, we'll have that opportunity.
And I hear what you're saying, and I would have liked to do it that way too, Dylan. The urgency, I apologize, for me was, last week, the end of last week, I was given a surgery date of the 11th. Which put me out of commission very quickly, so I needed, that's why we.
I'm sorry.
And I
like,
apologize.
No, you don't have to apologize for that, or even if it wasn't that, it doesn't, like.
Yeah, so
I
that's
just-
why we're in.
I
in this
think,
pickle.
I think it's important that we put out a good work product and a good work process. And everybody here is making really good points, and I'm supportive of what we're trying to do, but we came in with Article 1 missing $36,000, and Article 2 that wasn't on here, and Article 3 that wasn't the right size, Article 6 that maybe was gonna change, then didn't, and then a bunch of other erratic, like dates and I think it would be better to just do another turn. When could we meet again, Val, to approve or support,
So the
recommend?
lawyers will get back to you.
Maybe tomorrow, Wednesday.
Yeah, we're planning on meeting Friday morning, we're planning on scheduling a meeting for Friday morning. Hopefully the lawyer will say, yeah, you're good to go, and we don't need to do anything more. In theory, you guys could also schedule a meeting for Friday morning, a remote meeting to.
And we can do it on Zoom, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, I can
Yes.
do a Friday morning.
So we could join your meeting on Friday. When is
And
Make
then-
that?
it
Zoom meeting.
a joint meeting, yeah.
Okay.
What time is your meeting?
We haven't scheduled it yet, because we were gonna talk to you guys about that first before we do anything.
So, but again, let's address too, are we better off to postpone the meeting until
The
there's more?
special town meeting?
Yeah,
No, I don't think we should do that.
okay,
Just because,
Alright,
to
that's
Thanksgiving and then December just becomes all kinds of crazy for everybody.
Yep.
And,
Yep, that's fine, I just,
Does it have to be on a Friday?
Tradition has town meetings on a Friday in this town, but it doesn't have to be at all. In this case, the Friday date worked.
Yeah.
it becomes availability of the school,
Yep.
of
Yeah.
FCAT, or
The sound
the
guys.
sound people.
And I agree that when you get into December, things start happening. I just
Yeah.
looked at my calendar.
and the
Fridays
goal
are
here is
booked.
not to have a special town meeting that's not attended by anybody. The goal here is to try to make it such that as many people as possible can actually attend, because we want this to be democracy, not 4 people show up and 3 of them vote for it and we go, woo.
Right, exactly.
So we're trying real hard to have this as outside of the holiday season as possible, and that was the date that we came up with. So what I would like to see happen, if you guys are comfortable doing it, is both sides vote to approve this contingent on the lawyer's wording. And if you guys decide you don't want to do that and you just want to meet Friday either way, that's fine. But we would vote for it to be contingent on the lawyer's wording. If the lawyer comes back and says everything's fine, we're not planning on meeting Friday morning if there's no changes. If you guys don't feel comfortable moving forward right now and you want to meet hell or high water on Friday, that's perfectly fine. Or you can do what we were doing, which is vote contingently and then have that meeting on the books for Friday to be able to come back together if there was concerns or whatnot.
I mean, I guess given that we're on Zoom, given that I already have 2 or 3 Zoom things on Friday that we may not be able to work around depending on people's, people are working that day, right? You know, our bosses call us into meetings all the time for no reason. So
Right.
we might actually have to miss a meeting, which would be bad. So I feel like we should vote tonight. And then if
Contingent upon.
contingent, and
hold.
if the lawyers change something, we just either try to get a last minute meeting or not have a vote on, like, we don't have a position. Like, it comes to, that happens all the
Yeah.
time where the finance committee doesn't have a recommendation,
Yeah.
you know?
And if, because sometimes the language could just be grammatical or putting in different terms but anything I get, I will be sending out to you guys when I get it.
Alright, so on that note, we're gonna start voting from the select board position on the articles in front of us. Now you need a separate vote for each article, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay,
So can we go article by article and do you guys, us guys, you guys,
Yeah.
us guys?
that sounds
Is
perfect.
that allowed?
Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect. Alright, so starting with Article 1, I would entertain a motion to, contingent on our legal review, approve and put forward Article 1.
Okay, I motion we put forth Article 1 with the change of adding the $37,000 more to the 325 to include the striker power lifter.
Second.
Alright, we have a motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, 3-0 from us.
We need someone to make a motion.
Motion to move Article
Same-
1
You can
Same,
even
same
say-
motion.
Motion to move Article 1.
Same motion.
with the
Second,
amendments.
and do we need a second?
Yes.
Second.
Okay.
So that was Aaron and
Aaron
Ally.
and Ally. All in favor? Opposed? So 3-1. Okay, now you guys can move to Article 2.
All right.
Thank you.
Which
So
we have
at this
nothing
time, I
about.
entertain a motion to move Article 2, not listed here, which would be for the striker unit for the ambulance we currently have in production.
All right, I motion we move Article 2 for $37,000 for the striker power lift unit for the ambulance that is currently in production.
Contingent on the lawyer review.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Second.
All right, we have a motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, 3-0 on that one. Over to you.
And entertaining a motion on Article 2, the striker unit, $37,000.
Move Article 2.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Article 3, back to you.
Alrighty. Article 3, which will be for the amount of $10,000, not $5,000, I would entertain a motion.
I motion we move Article 3 with the amendment of changing the dollar amount to $10,000 for temporary support staff.
Second.
Alright, we have a motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, 3-0. Thank you. Over to you.
Motion for Article 3, substitute wages for our town manager.
Motion for Article 3.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed?
Alrighty, Article 4. This is the first of the 2 prior year ones. I would entertain a motion on Article 4.
I make a motion for Article 4, just for the town to vote and transfer available funds or otherwise provide a sum of $105 for one bill and $35 for a second bill.
Second.
Alright, we have a motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, 3-0. Thank you, Vic. Over to you.
Entertaining motions on Article 4, old bills.
Motion to move Article 4.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed?
Alrighty, next up is Article 5, which is the second of the 2 prior year bills. I would entertain a motion on Article 5.
I motion we move Article 5, $1,300 for prior year police service.
Second?
All right, we have a motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, 3-0 for us. Over to you.
Entertaining motions for Article 5, more old bills, about $1,300.
Motion to move Article 5.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed?
All right, last up, we have Article 6. This will be for the $12,250 for tie and bond for the PFAS work. I would entertain a motion.
Motion to pay $12,250 for two-time bond for PFAS work at the Sunderland landfill area.
Second.
All right, we have a motion made and seconded to advance Article 6. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. 3-0.
Entertaining a motion on the last of the articles, Article 6, for the Finance Committee, the PFAS mitigation.
Motion to move Article 6.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed?
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody, and we will be in touch with you about what the lawyers say, and hopefully it's nothing. All right, so the other half of what we're trying to do here today is to approve the letter that we're going to send to our department heads asking for budget information, as well as our lovely little capital expenditure request form here for
We
those
did last year.
department heads to make requests.
More.
Thank you.
All right. Does the select board have any questions on the wording or these items in general?
So I'm bringing what we did last year forward and looking for edits.
Okay.
One of the things we changed last year is that we really asked for them to be due on December 16th, and people were bad. And they didn't have it by December 16th, and we were very upset about that. So is there anything we can put in here that's more sticks instead of carrots, like please do your job? How about like,
So,
you get the
on
worst
the-
day of the week to
On the
me,
budget
I don't
side,
know.
on the budget side, we don't have quite as many options, but we could put a hard cutoff on the capital side and be like, hey, if you didn't get your capital expenditures into us by that date, not happening this year, you can talk to us next year. We kind of have to fund the budgets of departments. We can't just tell them, no, you're gonna no money this year if you don't get your budget to us. But we could put a limit on the capital side of things, where it's, nope, that's the hard deadline. If you don't have it to us, ask again in 27.
If capital requests are not received, they will not be considered.
Exactly. Yeah. Which, to be honest, is not an
I
unfair.
mean, just to say this is pretty, we need to look at this stuff, we need more time to,
Yeah.
you all need more time to balance the budget, we need more time to get the
Yeah,
details.
so you guys weren't here earlier. We
Right.
actually had a discussion about possibly, because Sunderland does their town meeting at the end of April. Whately and Deerfield aren't doing theirs until May and June. And is April the right date for doing ours? Do we want to consider moving it out so that people have a little more time for getting that budget? Because they're preparing it for us, especially when we get to these combined services like South County EMS and South County Senior Center. They're having to get it 2 months earlier for us than they need to do it for Deerfield.
And then also, if something were to change in a period of time, we've already voted on it, they can't change it. If we're clustered together a little bit more, then they have more time to bring changes forward. And just in general, because we have so many things that are Frontier, South County, we have all these things that are these 3 towns or 4 towns, it makes sense for us to be a little bit more clustered with the other towns in that call.
We just don't know what logic, if we can really do it.
All very early, and we just brought it up today, and we're just starting to talk about it. But that is one of the things we're thinking about, is if we could align better there, that takes a little bit of pressure off of our folks to get it in by the 16th of December. I mean, we really do need it then if we're going to be ready in April. But if we weren't going to be having town meeting until the middle of May, for example, we could still be the first to do it. We would just be 2 weeks before Deerfield rather than.
Do we know the dates for the other towns exactly?
No,
Not off the top of my head,
I
but
was gonna get those tomorrow.
one's like the 3rd week in May, and the other one's I think the 2nd week in June.
I mean, direction of this makes sense, though, if details need to be figured out.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And we're not voting on anything, I'm
Yeah.
just bringing it up to you guys.
Yeah.
But just in general, it's something we wanted to talk about. And the answer might end up being, no, we're happy with where we are, and that's fine. But it made sense to at the very least.
Somebody has
visit
to
it.
be first, I
Yeah,
guess,
that's right.
but.
But does it make sense to even move the December 16th deadline? Like, if they're still gonna be late, still give them that same deadline, right? Like, buy us the time that we need. You could still, you know, potentially entertain a capital request that came in afterwards if we, you know, give a little grace period, so to speak. But if everyone's gonna be late, we don't wanna give them till January, and then they're gonna show up in February.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, last year, way more often than not, I don't know how much more than 50% of the time, like, I was getting an email at 5:30 with budget sheets we were gonna go through
Yeah.
at 6.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't need to come if like if I'm not even be able to look at this, like then
Correct.
you know, there's no point, right? So like I feel like in order to be on the agenda to come in and present your budget, we need to have it X days before, separate from this deadline, because I think that's important also. But for those who don't meet the deadline, I think the stick is, if it's not set to Becky, to all of us, whatever it is, X hours or X days before, when you're on the agenda, you're not on the agenda. Because otherwise, there's no point. Like, the school last year, that was really tough. Like, all of us cracked it open for the first time in the middle of, like, a few pretty big surprises on the biggest line item in the budget, like, not awesome.
Yep.
And if part of that is because we're so early, then that's even more reason to get us closer.
And that was part of our thinking, was that, like, we have all this rush to get it done by April. Why?
Yeah.
Why are we forcing our department heads to you know, move too fast? And part of it's also that it's hard to do budgets before the year has ended. You know, like, it's hard to start.
And even when, I mean, actually overall, our department heads were better at getting to meeting the deadline, not that they were perfect, but they were earlier and we didn't have as much catch up with, usually with our own people, this, i.e. not that we have special people, but people who are just Sunderland,
Yes.
is what I meant. So, you know, it's difficult to even have those conversations when we don't see the big ticket items like the schools until later. I would argue that we should have a later meeting. I just wonder if the town has traditions that they like to keep, and is that gonna cause more problems with people like,
So that was
not
one of the
making a
things
town
that
meeting in May.
we had actually, that was one of the things we discussed earlier, is that it's always been that week in April. So there's gonna be people who are assuming it's that week in April, who may not check their email, may not check their mail, may not check the Greenfield Recorder, may not check the Daily Hunter Gazette, may not check the town website, and.
I don't know that we're gonna save everybody though, right?
No,
but,
I
at
know.
least, but we could make an announcement, a bigger splash, like,
Yeah.
hey, by the way, the town meeting change is
So-
gonna be like,
And
it's
part of
gonna
what
be
we
changed this year, it's not usually at the end of April, this time it's gonna be in the
You
middle
just
of
have
May.
somebody standing there in the third week of April, whoever shows up, you tell them that, because
I'm
those are
back
the ones that
into it.
missed it, you know?
One of the things we had discussed is that if we end up either not getting our ducks in a row for this year to make that happen, or just make the decision that this is not we decide this for this year decision, what we would do is we would decide before this town meeting and announce at this one, next year's is going to be on this date, so that at the very least we catch all 150 whatever people who are probably going to be the same people coming next year. And that would give us a sort of jumping off point there. Ideally, we could make it all work for this year, so we can, you know, make
right,
that
but we
work.
have to change like the election dates and stuff
Yeah,
too.
so we
Because
have-
we can't have the election in April and then the town meeting in May, because like, I could get voted out, right? And then whoever replaces me would be doing town meeting with less than a month, or potentially only a month too.
Right.
And we would have had one of the
Well,
people who was
yeah.
involved in it no longer like
Right.
available for
So
questions.
what's
you
the
know.
process for the change if?
So
And that's
that's,
what we're,
we have no
like I
idea.
said, this
Okay.
just
Yeah,
came
that's
up
why I
tonight,
talked to
and,
Wendy about how that election date is set. We need to set the election date.
but yeah, and again, just being
Before the town
transparent,
meeting.
it's something we're talking about, we don't know that it's gonna happen, but
But I think
It's-
if you want to make the change, you want to make it by January so you could start advertising.
yes.
Yeah.
I think we would still, either way, we would still stick to the December 16th date for this.
And
because
still
we don't
maybe
know.
have that stick of capital requests that
Yeah.
aren't consumed by this, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that will not receive first consideration at least,
and
or
if you
something
wanna
like
go-
that.
Yeah, we'll never see first consideration makes sense, right? Like,
We could
Yeah.
also even put in a penalty where if you don't make it this year, next year, you have to have it by December 1st. Like, and then the next year is November 15th. You want to keep going? We'll have you, in July. We have options in terms of like sticking some kind of, incentive or
Yeah, I would,
sticker.
I don't know that I,
No, I
don't
think
know
that
how
the
to do it
people
like
that
this.
had the biggest problem were the superintendent and the South County EMS and South County Senior Center.
Mhm.
They had the biggest trouble. And they will, and the schools always will, because they don't even start getting their state aid numbers, the first crush of them, till the end of January. So they have nothing to build on. They're just spitting wind.
But it does give us time and opportunity to go through everyone else while we're waiting on those.
Yes.
Yes.
And I think that's key.
But it would be nice, and then when we get those, say, hey, you didn't make this meeting this week, you have to wait till next week. So hopefully you don't wait till the end of April to do this. But I'd rather have a week where we have, or at least 3 days or 4 days to look at stuff before we then have to meet on the next Monday.
I'd like a week.
Yeah, no,
But it
I'm
might,
in agreement that-
and I'd rather have an extra meeting in the beginning of April or at the end of March, if we're gonna, I know right now the plan is the finance committee meets with you every other week and then you do other stuff. But if it means the mid-March to, the end of April is just all we're doing is the budget stuff, I'd rather have more meetings, but
Right.
with more time for information, rather than saying, oh, you missed the 2-week window, now we gotta wait for 2 weeks. I'd rather have more time to look at stuff and have more meetings that were useful
Agreed.
meetings.
Yeah, no, I think we're on the same page on that there.
Okay.
So yeah, I think if you guys are cool, we'll go ahead with telling them the date of the 16th of December. We will add a note that capital requests received after that will not be considered.
Will not be,
Given first priority.
First priority.
yeah.
Yeah,
We can say
but-
not be considered, then we can always,
Well, no, actually, I think you're right by saying not given first priority, because what happens if the school comes in and says the roof
Oh,
fell
this
in, we
broke,
need
yeah.
something
We have to do it.
in March, we might have a position where well, but sorry, we told you you can't, we don't want to start having.
we're not gonna
people
throw the
come in.
kindergartners under the bus.
No. So let's do it as,
Listen, just because your girls are out of there, doesn't mean.
as we'll not get high priority is what we'll go there. And then have you guys had a chance to look over the other?
Well, everything else is the same as last year, right?
It
So we
is,
asked
yeah.
for a level services budget.
Yeah.
Level service is not the same as level funding,
Correct.
although it's very related. And then we also asked for if there was anything else that you wanted to add in there.
1 or 2 priorities.
Right, 1 or
Yep.
2 priorities, and the 1 or 2 priorities and the cost of those priorities.
Mm-hmm.
Do we say that?
It's in the
Yeah, they're
projected
projected
cost.
costs, it's in
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
No, this was well done.
We changed it a lot last year, so you'd like to think that we didn't completely screw up last year.
And obviously we'll go through and we'll update the dates and all that stuff to be 2025 instead of 2024 and whatnot.
And the one thing I need to make sure is underscored here is to email or send them all to the town administrator's email, because I had a number of them go to the select board email last year, and I didn't learn about them until I don't know why that happened, but.
Well, can we tell them to send them to both? Just send them to the town?
No, because the select board email actually doesn't go to the select board. It goes to our administrative person,
Okay.
Yeah,
so.
they just need to go.
So,
to
and
the
she
town
didn't,
administrator.
I just need to make sure and now I know to ask Mel if she got any and get them, because.
But I also think we can say in here, all proposals need to be sent to,
Yeah.
and then that's not in here, but put it in here. Add the email, I'd say.
Yeah, and I just think this year, when we start getting that gigantic Excel spreadsheet, it needs to get renamed every time there's edits to it, instead of being overwritten. Because sometimes there'd be a change in a line item, but it got overwritten, and if you didn't print it out or you didn't save it, you didn't know
So
what
keep-
that.
Keep having new versions of
Yeah,
budget.
good version of control would be.
You could also just do the date for the tabs. So that
Yeah,
you
but
could
something
update-
so
yeah,
that
it's the
we
same
can
document,
see-
but each tab
Yeah, but
reflects the
something so
date.
we can
Yeah.
see the changes, and I know last year was,
Yeah.
the first
No,
time
good.
a lot of us were dealing with some of this stuff, and it just, I know that got real confusing for me, not being able to see. If I hadn't got it printed out,
Okay.
I couldn't
Yeah.
tell what the change was.
No, there was some time where we'd be going through our emails, and like, all right, which one's more recent? Is this one more recent? Is that one more
Yeah.
recent? Which one's the one from last week?
Yeah,
So,
so,
yeah, I think that'd be good for us to have, even,
Yeah,
as you said, just a date on it.
If it's
You
in
know.
one document with the tabs at the bottom, then I think it's easier to go back
Yeah.
and look at things, and we're not all looking for different documents in our emails and.
yeah, it was,
That kind of stuff.
it just, it got, at least for me, it got confusing.
Yeah, I
trying
can
to-
see that.
Alrighty, any more discussion on the letter and or the capital sheet? If not, at this time, I would entertain a motion from the
We
select.
we don't need to vote on this?
I think we need to vote on sending it out. I don't know about you guys. Do they need to vote on
You
this?
guys need to vote on it.
So we also need to vote
Recommend
on
to
it.
them, I guess.
Yeah.
So we'll vote first and then I'll throw it over to you to vote second. So at the time, I would entertain a motion to approve with minor edits to the dates, the budget request and capital override request forms.
I motion we approve the budget and capital request submission forms with the minor edits we've discussed.
Second.
All right, we have a motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 3-0 for us. Over to you guys.
All right, can I get a motion on the fiscal year 26?
It'll be
27.
fiscal year
So
27.
that's one of the things we have to change on
Yeah,
it.
all those numbers gotta change.
Yes, all the dates
Yes,
on it have to
This
change.
form is just last year's form was
Of
of
6 inches in
All
there.
right. I'd like to, would someone please motion?
So moved.
Fiscal year 27.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
wonderful.
Yeah.
So I think that's all of our joint business that we have. We took the opportunity earlier to go through all of our other stuff. Did you have any public comment for us today?
Nope, I'm just testing the waters.
Just making sure
Committee.
that he's
Wonderful.
really interested in joining the finance committee.
Oh, wonderful. And
That's a
what is
Thank you for
blast.
coming and joining us.
Ian Raphael,
Ian
over
Raphael.
on Russell Street.
Ian Raphael on
Yeah.
Russell Street? I got,
Well, welcome. Hopefully this was interesting and, you know, I looked over and saw you nodding quite a bit, so I'll take that as a good sign.
Yeah.
So the
nodding
process,
should go, oh.
if you're not completely turned off by this lovely process, is that you approach the town, you can email the town moderator.
I've already told Ian how to join,
Okay.
and I was like, do you wanna, and he's like, can I come check it out? And I was like, sure, we're meeting on Monday at 7:15. Don't know exactly what's going on.
David Pierce, right?
No,
No,
Tom
Tom.
Kevich is
Oh,
the
really?
moderator.
Oh, no
Yeah.
kidding.
and it's
I'm
gonna,
like,
people
what
are
is it?
still gonna be confused because Tom is not going to be here for the special town meeting, so David Pierce will
David's
be
gonna
the
do it.
moderator.
That's funny.
Yeah.
But in terms of finding, getting appointed to committees, it's still
And,
the
and
official
everybody
council.
has to be extra nice to him because on that, it's his birthday, he didn't do anything.
Oh,
Oh, David Pierce's birthday?
Yes.
Oh.
that's tough.
Oh,
Yeah.
let's not sing to him, that would be nice.
Special town meeting on your birthday.
What about David Pierce's birthday?
The special time meeting we're having, November.
Oh,
So,
that's wild, because my birthday is the day before, and I'm actually not gonna be at the special town meeting.
all right, so who will be at the town meeting? Not that we don't need a quorum, but in terms of asking questions, I can be there.
I think I'm.
We think, I couldn't be at the last one, so I feel like, you know. And then I'll let you make sure Joe knows.
Yeah.
And Joe, by the way, he did email me, there was a family thing tonight, he couldn't make it, so we did hear from him.
All right, at this time, I would entertain a motion for the select board to adjourn.
I motion we adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, can we also
3-0
join the finance
is
committee?
8:50. Now up to you guys.
Second.
All in favor? All right, bye-bye.